90% of couples spend up to an hour arguing about the household chores.
What, a day?
Well, they can do when it comes up as an issue, yeah. Because the question this morning is, do you feel like you're always responsible for the chores at home? Are you a bit fed up of your partner not doing their fair share? We're asking because there's a proposal in France to make it a criminal offence to shirk domestic chores. And it's won support in France after being suggested by a feminist called Sandrine Rousseau.
I must say, if you're watching this as a couple, I can almost hear the shuffling of feet. Anyway, Rousseau says that a law is necessary, as we've barely progressed since the 1970s. So should it, as she's suggesting, and most French people agree, should it be made a crime? We're not talking about civil action, an actual criminal offence, not to say do the washing up, not to take your turn making the bed. And would you actually report your partner?
Well, yes. Joining us now to discuss this is Dr Tessa Dunlop, who says avoiding housework should be a criminal offence, and Aggie Mackenzie, who says if you're considering suing your partner, then you should consider divorce instead. Well, the point that's being made by this feminist called Sandrine Rousseau is that she thinks there's a law on housework necessary because we've hardly progressed at all since the 1970s. She says that men have only increased the time spent on domestic chores by 14 minutes since the 1970s. And if that rate continued, it would take 6,500 years to achieve equality in France. She has a point.
Well may Richard laugh, but will you be wielding a mop?
I do myself. I'm not going to go into detail, but I just don't... Look, I'm sorry, let's get to the chase here. We're talking about it being a criminal offence. This is nonsense. I mean, absolute nonsense to drag a man or a woman into court because they don't do the washing up.
I totally agree with you, Richard. Absolutely. I think it's about educating, not legislating.
But you're serious about this?
Let's flip the argument on its head.
Okay.
We enshrined in law the idea of equal pay before I was even born, in 1970. And we still haven't achieved equal pay. Women still paid about 10% less for doing the same job, despite all our best efforts. All the research says until you have equality in the domestic space, until men are doing their fair share of unpaid work in the domestic space, you will not get equality.
That's a false analogy.
It's not a false
analogy. Can you imagine going down to the Nick, being arrested and being at the police station and being charged with...
I think the police have got better things to do.
What would the charge be?
Exactly, and how do you measure it? It's just crazy. It's about respecting your partner and respecting yourself and just knowing how to clean up after yourself. It's as simple as that.
But it's not simple, is it?
I think
because
it is.
We haven't shifted for decades, despite all the conversations.
I think we have shifted a lot.
No, but the statistics say we don't. It's still a massively gender-based, clear division of labour. Women do it all and men don't do it.
Making it a crime?
But you make that sound so dramatic. There's loads of things. When I was a child, we got beaten about as kids because guess what? You could hit willy-nilly. I think they introduced it as illegal in Scotland. You can't hit a child. And now I wouldn't think of touching my 3-year-old, even though she's a pain in the neck. And guess what? Yeah, I'm doing most of the mopping up after her. I'll get back this morning. The dishwasher won't be emptied. Tell you what, it probably will have dirty stuff put over the clean stuff because that's how men just amble around thinking they can get away with it.
How would you prove it?
You wouldn't ring the police up and say, come and get my husband.
There's actually loads of stuff that's now legislated against within a marriage behind closed doors that's very difficult to prove. I don't think we should shy away from this on a legal basis, thinking, let's not go there. You know, there's all sorts of ways you can change behaviour by establishing something in law. And generations older than me, Aggie, women included, I think, are part of the problem here because we are ingrained. The patriarchy has made us think boys
I agree
must
with you
earn
on
the
that.
bread and butter.
I get what you're saying. It's about, and we're talking about men here, aren't we? Who are, generally speaking, doing less than women. But I think it's down to mothers to educate their sons, and I include myself here. I wasn't the best mother in that sense, but I think it starts early on. You need to be telling your sons, because that's who we're talking about, to how to show them how to clean, how to look after themselves, how to behave in a fair and just way. Because we cannot take this, as the proposal is, to legislation. It's completely bonkers. It's a waste of police time.
I don't believe it is. We've got a crisis, a labour shortage in this country. The Young Women's Trust did a lot of research on this. Women between 18 and 30 are doing 140 billion worth of unpaid work in the home. If you level
But
it
aren't
out...
there more serious...
You wouldn't be doing it then.
Hang on, can we just pick up Aggie's point? Aren't there more serious crimes for the police to investigate than a bloke who doesn't pluff up the pillows?
But, OK, aren't there more serious crimes to work out whether women are getting paid less or more in the workplace? We care about that, so
You
why
keep making
we...
parallels, but you're not... Serious, joking aside, I mean, set aside the parallels, just stick to this one. Really, can you see a man, let's say a man, in the dock on the accusation of not doing the washing up? Can you see that actually unfolding?
I can, actually, because there's been precedents. No, but you laugh. But we take it to the law court, our relationship's often to the law court. It's called divorce. That's a really extreme black and white line.
15% admitted that quarrelling over household chores directly contributed to the breakdown of their relationship.
There you are.
It's interesting because YouGov in 2021 said that women still do most of the work. 38% of women who work full-time say that almost all of the child rearing and domestic chores fall on them. And only 9% of men who work full-time say the same thing.
And I was desperate.
There
we
is a
need to
huge
stand
difference.
up. Women need to stand up for themselves.
Yeah, but you sometimes need the law in order to feel
establish
as though you can have
precedent.
that conversation.
I think
in
if
a
you've
framework.
got to the stage of using the law, the relationship's
You might be
over.
right about that. So you might be right.
Tessa,
about
I
that.
admire your brio on this. I mean, you have stood your ground very
And you are a
very well.
historian, therefore you understand
This is
the
centuries baked in. We've got to root it out, and I want to give you a new power tool, a mop, Richard.
I don't need
Love
one, I
it.
promise you. We've got the results of the poll on this.
Have we got the results of a poll? Did we do a poll?
What was it?
Should avoiding household work be a criminal offence? 20% say yes. No say 80%. I think
80%
20%
say
is quite
no.
a high proportion of people who think it should be a
Yes.
crime.
And this
Well,
is
that's
just
quite
the
high.
beginning. This is just the start.
Interesting.
The revolution starts here.